power comes from a 90-degree V-twin, or an L-twin if you prefer. It makes for a compact package with plenty of room betwixt the jugs to house the intake circuit without having to find room for it elsewhere. Bore and stroke measure at 81mm and 62.6mm, respectively, for a 646 cubic centimeters displacement and medium-hot 11.2 to 1 compression ratio. The Suzuki SV650 produces 75 horsepower and 47.2 pound-feet of torque. This gives it plenty of get up and go coming out of the hole with a sporty roll-on for passes at speed. Suzuki SV650 top speed is around 130 miles per hour, depending on pilot weight and elevation. Needless to say, you've got plenty of potential for use on civilized roads. 0 to 60 time is 3.3 seconds with a 12.1 second quarter mile. Suzuki relies on its proprietary SCEM process to plate the cylinder walls, thus replacing the need for heavy iron cylinder inserts with a much lighter solution. The heads sport Suzuki's dual spark technology and a quartet of long-service iridium plugs for effective flame front propagation, efficient power, and lower emissions. The SV650 is the quintessential naked sport bike that wastes not an ounce on superfluous bodywork or vanity pieces. This genre had its own arc of development, and like the scrambler and café racer lines, it started in the owner's garages. The factory pays appropriate homage to the homegrown naked sport origins, starting with the chopped-down front fender that rides between blacked-out fork sliders. A cyclops headlight housing unit carries a bright halogen bulb to split the night, but the rest of the lighting fore and aft is of the LED persuasion to ensure you can see and be seen for safety's sake. A chrome ring dresses up the headlight can, with high-mount blinkers that are well out of danger in a drop or slide. Up top, a vestigial flyscreen finishes the visage, and though it does little to protect the pilot, it does give the LCD instrumentation a safe place to be. A short rise handlebar relaxes the front of the rider's triangle just a skosh. You can push off into a more relaxed upright riding position than you might get with a sport bike proper. The sculpted seat meets a tapered, 3.8-gallon fuel tank and narrow waist to leave plenty of room for your thighs and allow you to tuck in as necessary. High-tensile steel tubing on the SV650 makes up the trellis-type frame with a beam-style swing arm and a stressed drivetrain unit. This completes the structure and eliminates a chunk of framing from the down tube or cradle area and its associated weight. Such efforts paid off to leave the 2023 SV650 with a wet weight of 432 pounds for the standard model and 437 pounds for the ABS version. The suspension is plain vanilla with non-adjustable 41mm roof front forks and a preload adjustable coil-over rear shock. Up front, the forks turn out 4.9 inches of travel, which is pretty plush, but only 2.48 inches of travel out back. The 5-spoke 17-inch cast alloy rims carry the only change for this year, with a bright red finish that plays well against all of that blackout work. They mount Dunlop Road Smart 3 hoops in a 120/70 with dual 290mm discs and 4-bore Takiko anchors slow the front wheel and a single piston caliper out back. The liquid-cooled 645 cubic centimeters, 90-degree, DOHC power plant is one of the SV's highlights and has long been regarded as one of motorcycling's great engines for its combination of flexible, thrilling performance, character and durability. With a performance pipe fitted, it sounds great. The current Suzuki SV650's peak horsepower of 75 brake horsepower remains comparable to newer engines such as the parallel twin powering Yamaha's rival MT-07 and is complemented by a flexible mid-range. The extra 4 brake horsepower it gained in 2016 came from less internal friction thanks to resin-coated piston skirts and plated cylinders. This lets the bike rev harder than before and also contributes to it passing the new Euro 4 emissions regulations. Further changes to the ECU and injectors got it through Euro 5 for 2021. The willing little V-twin gets into its stride at 6,000 RPM and charges onto around 9,000 RPM before the rev limiter kicks in somewhere north of 10,000 RPM. Torque stays the same as the old bike at 47 pound-feet, but it's now strongest at 8,100 RPM rather than 6,400 RPM.